Fpyq Jiang. Chapter 6. The Inner Courtyard. Early in the morning, Li Yubai carried a large bundle of books to Qi Yunruo's suite. He was not quite awake yet. To make him somewhat presentable, Li Yuè wiped his cheeks to free it of stains. Copy scriptures. A smile appeared on Li Yubai's lips. That is correct. Her Highness, the Princess Consort, must prepare for the Empress' birthday, and what better way to show filial piety than handwritten Buddhist scriptures? To accumulate good fortune for Her Highness, a few books of scriptures have been prepared for third young master to use. After a while, we'll present these copies as sacrifices at a temple. Aware of the implications, Li Yuè felt worry nibbling at her chest. She looked at her master. Yet Qi Yunruo received the books of scriptures without a hint of concern. Thanking the Princess Consort for her care. And thank you, older sister Li Yubai, for delivering these. Li Yubai smiled once more. Once the other maidservant had left, Li Yuè placed her hands on her hips, fuming. I'll say it. I'll just say it. Eldest Miss has been upset for a while. A wave of dejection crashed upon Qi Yunruo's heart. He turned around to Xiao Shan. Inform older brother Ji that I can't make it today. It's a pity, since I promised yesterday to read with him. Xiao Shan nodded and left. Meanwhile, Li Yuè flipped through the scriptures left behind by Li Yubai, her anger nearly palpable. There's so many. It'll probably take 1 to 2 months to finish. Qi Yunruo surrendered to his thoughts for a moment. Then he resurfaced. Either way, she gave me a task to do. It was his mother who had taught him how to write. One brush stroke at a time. Therefore, his calligraphy carried a feminine impression, although he himself could not tell. The Qi Yunruo of the past had not paid respects or prayed to Buddha. That said, he still felt it better to diligently and respectfully fulfill his task. The first thing he did was wash his hands. Yet when he was about to start writing, he realized he lacked suitable brushes and paper. Qi Yunruo felt the beginning of a headache creep upon him as he looked in the direction of Qi Nikan's main chamber. She would not like for him to bother her with such an insignificant thing. Thus, Qi Yunruo glanced at Xiaoju and said, "Go to older brother Ji and borrow some paper and brushes." Xiaoju made a sound of acknowledgement and nodded. But Li Yuè was shocked and obviously unamused. Are you trying to drive eldest miss into a rage? Then make sure to keep your trip secret, Xiaoju, so that the princess consort would not be aware of it. As soon as our people leave the suite, eldest miss will know. Qi Yunruo felt his headache worsen. If I had known I was missing supplies earlier, I would have given this task to Xiao Shan before she left. He wasn't the only one who felt as though his head were splitting. Yesterday, Li Chen had spent too much energy thinking, almost finishing his build-up of duties at his post, to the point where he had this physical ailment. His headache had increased as more and more people came to ingratiate themselves with him. Therefore, he was taking a day of absence today, resting at Ji Huan's quarters. After knocking on the front doors of Beautiful Forest, Xiao Shan entered the house. Inside, she found Yuè. Once Xiao Shan had informed her about Qi Yunruo's situation, Yuè said, "It must have troubled you to come so far. I will inform our young master. Enjoy these fruits in the meanwhile." Having awoken a while ago, Ji Huan overheard the conversation. With slow, gentle strides he exited his main room, a slight smile on his lips. "I heard you. Go and tell little Qi to not worry. In a few days, I will have his items prepared." "Ah, that's right," said Ji Huan, remembering that Qi Yunruo's finances were tight. He might not have any money to reward his servants. He instructed Yuè to give a few pieces of silver to Xiao Shan, so that she could split them with Xiaoju. Xiao Shan received the silver and left for her master's residence, skipping with joy. That settled, Ji Huan took his care in returning to his room. Li Chen was waiting inside, lounging on a couch. In a low voice he asked, what happened? Ji Huan hesitated, unsure of how to put it. In the end, Li Chen heard the words copy Buddhist scriptures, unable to visit, and money. Confused, he said, Little Chi? He needs to copy Buddhist scriptures. Ji Huan sighed softly. I'm afraid that the secondary consorts had angered the princess consort, which somehow involved younger brother Qi. He's still just a child, in his most active years, said Li Chen. Copying Buddhist scriptures requires patience. It's unnecessary for someone his age. Smiling bitterly, Ji Huan shook his head. Not a word left his lips. Li Chen clasped his hands behind his head and lay down on the couch. He was still in the process of observing the princess consort, of seeing how she would react to not having the authority to manage the estate. He was waiting for her to ask him directly. Perhaps she would think up a good plan. A pity she had not taken the first step. As for little Qi, he was still under the princess consort's power and influence. Therefore, Li Chen did not have any grounds to stop Qi Nikan from disciplining her brother. What about Suji? Asked Li Chen. Has he found the 12 zodiac ornaments yet? Ji Huan went outside to ask, and then came back to say, yes, he found them. Do you want to send them to little Qi now? Yes. Once he had finished breakfast, Li Chen made his way to the outer study for a meeting. Ji Huan remained at his quarters. He sat in front of his desk, expressionless. Eventually, Ji Huan would leave the prince estate. Coming here had been the idea of his legitimate mother and sister, and Ji Huan had also agreed. He had great ambitions. To pass the highest-leveled Imperial Civil Service examination, then work at Hanlin Academy, the rest of his life spent rising from the bottom to the top. This road was long and littered with variables. But to become one of the highest-ranking ministers was his dream. Because of this, he could not stay at solely one person's side. On the other hand, little Qi belonged to Li Chen. What he needed was the prince's protection. He was not like Ji Huan. Ji Huan gazed at the mythical beast paperweight he had yet to give Qi Yunruo. Another soft sigh escaped his lips. The spring exams were approaching in less than a year. It's about time to return to the capital. Without suitable writing paper, brushes, and ink, Qi Yunruo decided to diligently read the Buddhist scriptures before doing anything else. There were many difficult terms and words. He hadn't a clue what some of these words were. He resorted to guessing for a majority of them. An hour later, a noise suddenly erupted outside the room. Li Yisu rose to her feet and cracked open the window. A moment later, she said, "It looks like eunuch Suji is here to pay respects to the princess consort." Hey! What happened? Why is he coming over to us? Li Yisu quickly shut the window, dashing to the doors to open them. Trailing Suji were two lower-ranked eunuchs. Each of them held a small box. Suji wore a kind and warm smile. "Young lady, is third young master, little Qi, inside?" Li Yisu bowed, before saying, "Yes, he is." "Does eunuch Suji have any instructions?" Suji entered the room with the two eunuchs. He swept his gaze through the interior. Originally sitting on the bed, Qi Yunruo had slipped on his shoes to approach them. Suji continued to smile while observing him. Hair casually tied back with a dark green hairband. Thin, white clothing that had seen better days. Cloth sandals with poorly embroidered clouds, the handiwork perhaps belonging to one of the servant girls. He was very beautiful, large eyes paired with a small nose, thin lips, and a sharp chin. Suji averted his gaze. Still smiling, he said, "What is young master doing?" "Reading Buddhist scriptures." Suji nodded. He beckoned the eunuchs behind him to step forward and opened the first box. "This is a gift sent by His Highness. One set of crystal zodiac ornaments." Then he opened the other box. "In here are what this slave has sent on my own volition. Legendary and interesting novels His Highness enjoyed in the past. If the young master likes them, there are more in the forecourt." Qi Yunruo smiled happily like a child. First, he looked at the 12 zodiac ornaments, picking up a brown rooster ornament. This is my zodiac sign. Then he shifted his attention to a few of the novels. With a smile, he said, "Thank you, eunuch Suji." Although Qi Yunruo did not treat this matter too seriously, Li Yisu was frightened to the bone. She respectfully said, thanking eunuch Suji for personally delivering these. This slave represents our young master in thanking His Highness. However, why has His Highness done something like this so suddenly? Suji's smile slightly dimmed. Young lady, we as servants cannot guess our master's intentions. Her expression of respect froze. This slave understands her wrongs. This slave was just too happy for our young master. Suji nodded. Then he directed his attention to Qi Yunruo. This slave dares not bother young master any longer. All right, you are dismissed. Nodding once more, Suji and the two other eunuchs went on their way. Li Yisu's face grew pale. She glanced in the direction of Winter Plum Courtyard's main room. Then she shifted her gaze to Qi Yunruo. Now that he had received so many new and interesting novels, Qi Yunruo was no longer in the mood to copy scriptures. But he knew it was required of him. He helplessly said, I still don't have a brush or paper. In Winter Plum Courtyard's main room. What is His Highness' intention? Asked Qi Nikan, beside herself in worry. Nanny Song nearly spat out her words. What else could it mean? This old slave had said it since the beginning. Nothing good can come from that child. He leaves for the forecourt every day. Who knows what he is up to? Most likely seducing His Highness, that's what. When Suji had arrived at Winter Plum Courtyard, the first thing he did was pay respects to Qi Nikan. As for the reason for his visit, he gave a brief statement, that as the youngest in the princess consort's residence, little Qi would find pleasure in the adorable ornaments. He did not elaborate any further. Qi Nikan instructed Lai Yufang to prepare a significant reward for Suji and the two eunuchs with him. Upon receiving the pouch of silver, Suji was respectful but did not say much. Even if Qi Nikan did not personally instruct servants to check up on her brother, Li Yubai had people monitoring Qi Yunruo's little suite. Suji did not stay there for long. His time spent delivering the gifts to Qi Yunruo was shorter than the time he spent paying her respects. However, Qi Nikan's heart did not feel comfortable at the slightest. This was the first day since Li Chen moved out of Qi Nikan's residence that he went to find a man. It was unlike spending a night in one of the concubines' courtyards. Ji Huan could be said to have stayed in the prince estate for more than a year. She thought that in Li Chen's opinion, the concubines and Ji Huan were no different. And since Qi Yunruo was someone from her own courtyard, this also applied to him. Eldest miss, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, said Nanny Song. Let's take advantage of the fact that that child has yet to mature, and find a way to suppress him. Just as I tell him to copy scriptures, His Highness sends these novels. So this is His Highness' intention. Nanny Song wanted to open her mouth to speak, but Qi Nikan waved her hand. Forget it. Let's talk about those children. In the afternoon, tell tertiary consort Li to come over for a chat. After a moment's thought, Nanny Song decided that this topic was in fact more important. She nodded. This old slave understands. Once Nanny Song had left, Qi Nikan sucked in a deep breath. She closed her eyes, mind wandering. Then, voice calm, she told Lai Yufang, go to the storeroom and find some bright bolts of cloth. Something plain green, light green, and the same shade of green of a lake. A lush verdant. And something the color of melons. A pale yellow. Have someone make additional summer clothes for the third young master. Lai Yufang nodded and did as ordered. On the other hand, Li Yubai stood conflicted on what to do. Not fully understanding the situation, she said, is eldest miss preparing for the third young master's debut as a concubine? Whether I am or not depends on His Highness, Qi Nikan said, dragging out each word as she released them. However, since His Highness has acted to this point, I mustn't stand here idly. No matter what, she didn't want rumors to spread that she was bullying her younger illegitimate brother. Come noon, Tertiary Consort Li brought her daughter to Winter Plum Courtyard. Her heart was touched with a bit of fear. After she had given birth, she made a mistake that inspired the prince's hate. From then on, Li Chen no longer wanted to see her. She needed, more than ever, to find a way out for herself and her child. Especially since she would probably have just one daughter for the rest of her life. No matter what, Tertiary Consort Li needed the princess consort to like her daughter, regardless of the anguish she suffered in giving her own child away. Her child was 3 months old and healthy. Joy flashing in her eyes, Qinikan observed the small baby. Softly, she said, "Since you brought your daughter to me, I naturally will treat her well." In the past, we all called this child Sweet Big Sister as a nickname. Although this was said affectionately, she should have a real name already. Once His Highness returns, I will remind him of this. Li Chen was not too fond of this child. He had only come to see her a few times in the past. Bursting with gratitude, Tertiary Consort Li said, "This slave thanks your highness." In the evening, as Li Chen made for Qinikan's residence for dinner, Qinikan had Liu Fang monitor his movements, mind swirling with countless thoughts. As the servants served their meal, Liu Fang reported her findings in a whisper. Once His Highness entered the residence, he went directly to the main room. He did not glance at that person's suite, and that person had closed his door and windows. Her mood lightened. Finished with dinner, Qinikan had someone bring out the eldest daughter. Holding the baby close, she said to Li Chen, "Our estate's Sweet Big Sister has yet to receive a real name. Does your highness have any suggestions?" Li Chen stroked the baby's round and chubby cheeks. For a moment, he lowered his gaze, taking in the image of innocence. "I hope that she will be obedient, gentle, beautiful. Let's name her Yan Er." "That's a good name," said Qinikan. Li Chen did not seem as happy as a typical parent who had just named their child would be. Still, he received his daughter in a hug. He rocked her lightly in his arms, before returning her to the nursemaid. The night passed silently. As the concubines came to pay respects the next morning, Qinikan pulled Tertiary Consort Li aside. His Highness personally gave her the name of Yan, and even held her for a moment. Tertiary Consort Li both felt happy for the good turn of events and longed to have her daughter in her arms. Eyes wet with tears, she said, "This slave is grateful to your highness, the princess consort, in taking care of my daughter." Secondary Consort Wei smiled. "Younger sister Li's good fortune has arrived. The prince likes your daughter. In the future, you as the birth mother will have a good life." Returning her smile, Tertiary Consort Li said, "This slave dares not hope for such things. In fact, it is her highness who dotes on Sweet Big Sister. This slave does not dare." All the while, Consort Ji sipped some tea but said nothing. A laugh escaped from concubine Ying. "How can our residences compare to that of her highness? The servants here are more capable and his highness also frequents here often. In the future, all the siblings should live together. Once they're grown, they would naturally be close." Qinikan glanced at Secondary Consort Ji, the corners of her lips tilting upward. However, Secondary Consort Ji kept expressionless. Not long after, she dismissed herself. This woman was arrogant and had managed the estate for 3 years. She had also given birth to Li Chen's eldest son. According to Qinikan's calculations, once she brought Consort Ji's son to her side, that woman would have no choice but to submit to her. Meanwhile, Qi Yunruo was unaware of the fights sparking in the inner court. Absorbed in reading the novels that Li Chen sent to him, he kept procrastinating in copying the scriptures. There were romances between men of talent and beauties, legends of heroes, and belly-shaking comedies. Once he started reading a line, he couldn't stop from flipping to the next page. He was also very fond of the 12 zodiac ornaments. Despite this, he did not place them in plain sight. He kept them in the original box, storing them away with care. 3 days later, Chi Yunruo had read all the books and finally sat on his desk to fulfill his original task. He wasn't an idiot. He knew that Qi Nikan didn't like his visits to Ji Huan. Having him copy scriptures was only an excuse to punish him. Without proper writing paper, Chi Yunruo just grabbed any blank sheets to start writing. Upon finishing a page, he held it up by the top corners and blew it dry. In half a day, he had completed an entire stack. Since he had no interest in copying scriptures, doing so proved a study in boredom. Especially when compared to the novels he had read. Not to mention, Li Yisu had been quite anxious these past 3 days. Whenever Li Chen came to Winter Plum Courtyard, she would shut all the windows and doors. Chi Yunruo stared at her without a word. Yet he did not pause in his task. He felt dazed. Lost. He could not see the road that could lead him to his future. Never had he been given the chance to decide his own path. Ever since he had been born in that house on King's Street, his life was not his own. Rather, it belonged to his legitimate mother, them to Count Xiang, then finally, to Qi Nikan. Sometimes these thoughts would creep upon him, and when that happened, he would be beside himself in fear. As if a large hand had grasped at him, clutching at his throat. Clutching hard until he could no longer breathe. Like a large cloud, raining upon the forest and herbs, all plant life forms. Yet each and every one will walk its own path. Such was said by the Buddha Roulette. A common mind exists in all beings. Every breakthrough comes from separation, from destruction. Chapter End. Fpyq Jiang. Chapter 7. Fathers and Brothers. That Qi Nikan continued to suppress Consort Ji caused Li Chen displeasure, though he didn't show it. He wanted to raise his sons together by his own hand. Letting a single woman in charge of rearing his children had not been part of his plan. Nor would it ever be. While the legitimate sons were the most noble in birth, Li Chen's goal wasn't solely to be a first-ranked prince. His eyes were on the throne. As such, Li Chen hoped that his sons' relationship would be close while also possessing their own talents. He didn't want them emulate those sons of past emperors, fighting each other to the death. On the other hand, pampering the legitimate son would bring rise to an ineffectual ruler. Since secondary consort Ji had finally yielded the right to manage the estate to Qi Nikan, the latter had been celebrating. However, Li Chen had then taken the habit of seeing her rival for the past few nights. Now Qi Nikan could not suppress her anger anymore. Her expression sank. She understood the implications. Li Chen had given her the estate's managing power as a trade. He didn't want his son to be raised in her courtyard. That he had lately frequented that woman's residence was part of the warning. Although they'd only been married for a little over a month, Qi Nikan already noticed one of the worries and annoyances of being a princess consort. The more she noticed, the more she felt she could not deal with them all. Apart from this consort Ji, she needed to force the inner courtyard into the palm of her hand. She needed to showcase her authority, so that no one would dare challenge her. Once Qi Nikan accomplished this, she would be considered on the same level as the prince. And Li Chen would then value her more than the others in his harem. Only from having schemes, brains, and authority would one survive in the inner courtyard. After Qi Yunruo finished copying one book of the Lotus Sutra, he ran out of paper. Lately, the atmosphere in Winter Plum Courtyard was a little anxious. He did not search for the eunuchs or older female servants for paper and brush. He also did not look for Ji Huan. Instead, Qi Yunruo slipped into the worlds of Li Chen's novels. Several times, in fact. Other than that, he didn't do much of anything. Due to the rising temperature, Qi Nikan had instructed servants to send Qi Yunruo new summer clothes. Most of them were shades of green, though some were of bright colors. Li Yisu was starting to lose track of the eldest Miss' intentions. Was she mad at her master? Or was she treating him as if he were important? Whatever the reason, Li Yisu's heart thumped with joy as she helped Qi Yunruo try out each outfit one by one. Then she carefully folded them and put them away. Qi Yunruo had received a few new sets of inner and outer garments, all of which were made of silk and breezy when worn. Li Yisu and the other maidservants also received new clothes. Li Yisu was now considered one of her master's first-rank servant girls. Her monthly allowance was 100 grams of silver. At the end of every season she would receive 2 silver winterfrost flower hairpins and 2 sets of new clothes. As lower-ranked servants, Xiao Shan and Xiao Zhu received 40 grams of silver and 2 new sets of clothes. Because they didn't wear their hair in complicated hairstyles, they didn't receive much jewelry. Whether the main room had been too busy or not was anyone's guess. But in the end, Qi Yunruo did not receive a single cent. Technically, he didn't need money to survive, but his heart still felt a tinge of disappointment. On the outer part of the estate, another person also felt a bit unhappy. It had been a long time since Ji Huan last laid eyes on Qi Yunruo. He missed the teen. Yet Qi Yunruo had locked himself up in his suite, and Ji Huan himself could not visit him either. A few times he had thought of sending some gifts over, but in the end he held in the urge. The right to manage the estate had finally fallen into the princess consort's hands. Ji Huan felt a bit relieved. All these years his sister had tried to hold on to the power. Even when she was pregnant, she didn't rest. And because of this, it would be a lie to say her son was healthy. Consort Ji had managed the estate for 3 years. Those working under her had no idea when the princess consort would strike them down. The best case scenario would be if no trouble occurred, thought Ji Huan as he read. Suddenly, a servant entered his room. "Young master, word has it that there will be guests arriving at the estate tonight." "Who?" "Count Xiang." Ji Huan slightly arched a brow. "Count Xiang? Why would he suddenly come over? This slave has also heard that his 2 sons and the countess will be attending. This slave only knows so much. That quickly." As Ji Huan had predicted, Qi Nikan was pregnant. Li Chen and his princess consort had only been married for less than 3 months. But today, when the doctor had checked her pulse for her a health checkup, he discovered the fetus was less than 2 months old. It was already stable. To impart the good news, the servants of the estate had waited patiently at the gates of the imperial palace for Li Chen. Once he learned of what happened, he returned to the imperial palace, breaking the news to the empress and empress dowager. Come noon, the 2 bestowed gifts to his estate. Similarly, when Countess Xiang had been filled in, she gifted a golden ingot to the messenger. These events were what led to Count Xiang and his family's trip to Li Chen's estate. Only Qi Roxuet, who was too young, would be kept at home. Throughout the night, a slight smile had found its place on Qi Nikan's lips. She felt that this child had come at the right time. In the past, she had racked her brain to form a better relationship with Li Chen. Now she was carrying the eldest legitimate son, and it was in such a short amount of time too. It was a gift from the heavens. Even the previously most favored consort Ji had waited more than a year to conceive a son. Her mother had also been smiling the whole night. She too felt that her daughter was fortunate. Other young misses from noble families had dreamed of marrying Prince Chun, but the emperor had bestowed this sought-out bachelor a marriage with her daughter. And now her daughter had quickly gotten pregnant. Not to mention, she finally held the right to manage the estate. From now on, her position was unshakable. Out of all his daughters, Count Xiang doted on Qi Nikan the most. She was also the daughter he had the most hopes for. As such, he had carried a slight smile since he heard the news. Count Xiang's eldest legitimate son, Qi Yunshan, had been close to this sister since they were young. Now that his sister was with child, he naturally was happy and personally came to congratulate her. The second young master of the Count estate, Qi Yunying, kept mostly silent. After he congratulated his sister, he didn't speak again. Li Chen accompanied Count Xiang outside for a chat. He also spoke with his brother-in-laws. From their conversations, he learned that Qi Yunshan was 18 years old and highly educated, his manner of speaking refined. He had learned martial arts at a young age but later on switched to the pen. Still, he was quite knowledgeable about blades and swords. Qi Yunying too could say a few things regarding weapons. It's true that if the father is a tiger, the sons won't be dogs, praised Li Chen. The two brother-in-laws are young yet so educated and knowledgeable. In the future, they will definitely have bright futures. Count Xiang said, Your Highness is joking. These two sons aren't as amazing as you describe them. If they can keep the count title, this official will already be satisfied as a father. Li Chen shook his head with a smile. The title of Count Xiang has been impressive for 3 generations. This title will resist the ravages of time. As soon as Count Xiang heard those words, a wave of relief crashed into his form. He smiled as he looked at his sons. This official thanks His Highness for the praise. In the future, they will keep the title and also have the support of His Highness. Count Xiang's words brought Li Chen joy. For Qi to marry him, it represented Count Xiang and his family supporting Li Chen. And he needed the continued support of those who were talented in Count Xiang's family. As such, he didn't mind helping Count Xiang's children. Li Chen once again studied his brother-in-laws. Qi Yunshan looked similar to his sister, with small eyes, long lashes, and a high nose. Qi Yunying wasn't as handsome, though his brows were nice and thick. He resembled his father. All of a sudden, there was a strange sensation in his heart. He couldn't help but close his eyes for a moment. Then he shifted his gaze elsewhere. Since this is a family banquet, the family should be reunited. Father-in-law hasn't seen that boy in a while. After a long period of thought, of trying to figure out who that boy referred to, Count Xiang said, Alright, that boy Yunruo. Li Chen slightly smiled. Little Qi hasn't seen his father in a while. He must miss you. Count Xiang's expression was a bit unnatural. He nodded. He is an understanding child. Suji, said Li Chen, turning around. Bring young master, little Qi, here. So that he can meet his father and brothers. As soon as those words left Li Chen's lips, Qi Yunshan stood there expressionless. Qi Yunying shot him a glance. During every New Year celebration and Count Xiang's birthday, Qi Yunruo would kneel behind his brothers to kowtow to his father. Other than that, Qi Yunruo seldom appeared in front of Count Xiang. Even if Count Xiang saw him, he would only say a few words before dismissing the teen. Therefore, once Qi Yunruo had arrived, Count Xiang was unsure of what expression to wear in front of this son. Qi Yunruo appeared very indifferent. He greeted his father in the way he was most familiar with, and once he saw his brothers, he went to stand at the side without a word. Li Chen raised a hand as he said, Give little Qi a seat next to his brothers. Understood, said Suji. Today, Qi Yunruo wore clothes the shade of wormwood. When he had arrived, the hair that usually draped on his shoulders was tied up according to protocol, and on his waist hung a few scented pouches. Qi Yunruo's appearance caused his family to feel embarrassed. Yet Count Xiang still managed to carry a smile. Yunruo looks well. Qi Yunruo lowered his head and grunted his acknowledgement. Aware of their guest's desires, Suji bowed as he said, Your Highness, where should the banquet be held? We should hold it in the lakeside pavilion. What does father-in-law say? At this time of year, eating near the water should be pleasant. Li Chen arched a brow. The smile never left his lips. The princess consort cannot be near the chill air. Let's have her and the countess stay inside to eat. I think the two of them must have things they wish to say to each other. Count Xiang rose to his feet and gestured for Li Chen to lead the way. Li Chen did not refuse and did so, Count Xiang and his sons following his figure. Qi Yunruo glanced at them, before slowly trailing after them. As Li Chen looked over his shoulder to show Count Xiang around, he glanced silently at Qi Yunruo. He seemed too short compared to his mighty father and brothers. When Li Chen himself had been 15 years old, had he been more than a foot taller than him? Wasn't the teen too quiet? Not a word had left his lips since his arrival. Was he unhappy toward Count Xiang, or was he naturally like this? Li Chen feared it was the former. In Ji Huan's own words, little Qi loved to talk and was very animated. Did the task of copying scriptures change his personality to a more subdued, muted one? Li Chen remembered the first time he had laid eyes on him. He wore a green outer garment. Although the color suited him, refined and muted, it was not bright. Li Chen couldn't imagine him wearing bright clothes, however. As if he should wrap himself in only those colors that painted him in a refined light. Around the table, Li Chen sat in the main position, with Count Xiang sitting across from him. Qi Yunruo sat next to Qi Yunying. He felt very awkward, and didn't even have the strength to lift his chopsticks. He didn't pay much attention to his surroundings. Qi Yunruo felt like he couldn't speak or smile. Like he was a shadow. Although he was obviously sitting at the same table, it felt as if the others couldn't see him. As time passed, he felt trapped, embarrassed, despite having done nothing wrong. "Little Qi," said Li Chen. Qi Yunruo's leg was suddenly tapped. He quickly looked at Qi Yunying, the person who had tapped him with a foot. His brother gestured toward Li Chen. Snapping out of his daze, Qi Yunruo looked at Li Chen. Li Chen patiently repeated, "Are these dishes not to your taste? Let the kitchens know what you like to eat. I'm not hungry." But Li Chen ordered the servant standing behind him, "Go make some appetizing personal dishes for him. Something crunchy and not too filling. This slave understands." Qi Yunchen dropped his gaze, still expressionless. Qi Yunying glanced at his father and then glanced at his brother. Not a word left his lips. The atmosphere was a bit strange. Li Chen and Count Xiang pushed their cups aside, exchanging them for a fresh new set. They were still smiling. Once again they talked about the matters concerning Li Chen's legitimate son. Li Chen's joy was apparent from his voice. "The child born from the princess consort, whether male or female, will be my greatest treasure. That will be that girl's blessing," said Count Xiang. "This official has spoiled darling Kun since she was young, so she may also spoil her own children. In the future, this official hopes His Highness will spend more time to teach this child." With a smile, Li Chen drank from his cup. Shortly after, a maidservant served 3 dishes of sweet and sour vegetables. Qi Yunruo ate 1 piece of radish at a time. Count Xiang couldn't help but look at him, and Qi Yunchen said, "What does younger brother do usually? Have you caused trouble for His Highness and Her Highness?" Qi Yunruo slowly said, "Eldest sister has taken care of me, so I didn't cause any trouble. The princess consort is pregnant, so you should be the one taking care of her," said Qi Yunchen. Yes. It seemed this was the first time Qi Yunchen took the initiative to talk to this brother of his. After these meager words, Qi Yunruo once again filled his cheeks with radish. Count Xiang and his family were to leave the estate once the banquet ended. Qi Yunruo stayed behind Li Chen and watched silently as the figures of his father and brothers shrank into the distance. As they walked back to Winter Plum Courtyard, Qi Yunruo kept his head down. 2 eunuchs lit the way with a lantern each. The path before them were bright. Li Chen was only half a step ahead of him, so his shadow covered Qi Yunruo. "Have you eaten your fill tonight?" "Yes." "You eat too little." "I'm full though." For once in his life, Li Chen racked his brain to keep a conversation going. "Are you happy that your sister is pregnant?" Qi Yunruo lifted his head, staring at the Li Chen who had stopped in his tracks. Their gazes met. Qi Yunruo's was calm yet carrying a question. Li Chen laughed at himself for thinking too much. "You'll have a nephew soon." "It's not a nephew." Li Chen stood there, shocked. Qi Yunruo's words were so faint, that if Li Chen were any farther away, he would have just missed them. It's not a nephew, but my master. Chapter End. Fpyq Jiang. Chapter 8. Radish Strips. Earlier, Countess Xiang had trembled with both joy and worry regarding her daughter's pregnancy. As such, she seldom spoke at the start of the banquet. For the remainder of the year Qi Nikan would be barred from spending the night with Li Chen. What's worse, this mother and daughter pair had witnessed a most disgruntling scene. Li Chen had summoned Qi Yunruo to dine with his brothers and father. Watching as the group of males left for the lakeside pavilion, Countess Xiang coldly said, "Who knew this cheap spawn had such good tricks under his sleeve?" Qi Nikan rubbed her abdomen. She hesitated before saying, "In mother's opinion, should I fulfill His Highness' wish? Darling Kun, for you to directly bring this up and for His Highness to bring this up are two entirely different scenarios. Now that you're with child, naturally you have some standing. That cheap spawn hid from you that His Highness liked him, so that he can suppress you and keep His Highness' affection. So that he can gain more and more of His Highness' heart. Daughter, you must suppress his nature. So that in the future, there will be no harm in sending him to His Highness and he won't spit on your grace." A moment of thought. Then Qi Nikan said, "I'll put a good word to His Highness for that concubine Ying and tertiary consort Li. Now that they are on my side, I should be receiving the benefits." A smile graced Countess Xiang's lips. Naturally. Once Li Chen and Qi Yunruo had arrived at Winter Plum Courtyard, Li Chen glanced at his companion. His thoughts wandered. He recalled the other's task of copying Buddhist scriptures. Once the child is born, this courtyard won't be big enough to accommodate you, Li Chen couldn't help but say. In a few days, I will find a suitable place for you to live in. Qi Yunruo nodded. After that, the two eunuchs brought Qi Yunruo through the doors of Winter Plum Courtyard, to his own little suite. Li Chen would later make his way back to his own residence. But first, he wanted to pay his princess consort a visit. A soft and warm smile had made its way across Qi Nikan's lips, fueled by her happiness in becoming a mother. She appeared kind and gentle as she personally poured a cup of sobering tea for Li Chen. "The princess consort should quickly sit," Li Chen said. "Just leave this to the servants." Qi Nikan said, "This concubine has heard that pregnant women cannot sit idly. The further it is into the pregnancy, the more exercise is required." Li Chen smiled and spoke not a word. In these past few days, this concubine has noticed that concubine Ying has a good character. With such a caring person by His Highness' side, this concubine is relieved. Originally, Li Chen had wanted to stay at Winter Plum Courtyard for a while to speak with Qi Nikan. This would be his first legitimate child, so he naturally hoped this child would be talented and healthy. And if that meant bettering the relationship with its mother, then so be it. But as soon as he had heard those words, his mood took a turn for the worse. Li Chen didn't let it show on his face, however. He slowly said, "Ying Chu is indeed good." Qi Nikan did not hear the chill in his voice. A light sigh escaped her lips. "After this concubine brought Yan Er over to this courtyard, I realized that being a mother wasn't easy. Tertiary consort Li sent over some handmade clothes. Truly a mother's heart." Li Chen set down the teacup. "It's late. The princess consort should rest early. This prince will return. This concubine will send off your highness," said Qi Nikan, quickly rising to her feet. "The princess consort needn't come." Later, as Qi Nikan sat in her bed, she twisted her handkerchief, soft words meant only for herself. "Was I too in a rush?" Li Yuè, the servant by her side, pulled the covers over Qi Nikan. Her words were also soft. "Your Highness is thinking too much. Your Highness should just do what you can." Yet there still existed a discomfort in Qi Nikan's heart. She slowly lay down on her bed and sighed the accumulation of her exhaustion. Li Yuè snuffed out the candles and took care as she left the room. Although one person had gone to bed, another was wide awake. The princess consort had overstepped her boundaries. It was not in Li Chen's itinerary to be a piece of prime rib, a tool someone used to reel in power. He also didn't want those caught in his net to break free. Upon reaching the entrance of Ink Lotus Courtyard, he stopped in his tracks. Let's visit Consort Wei. The Consort Wei in question was currently reading books under the candlelight. As soon as she saw Li Chen, her heart fluttered with happiness. She climbed down her bed and saluted. Li Chen supported her arm and examined the books lying on her desk. I heard that the princess consort is with child. This concubine wants to prepare a gift but isn't aware of her preferences. Grabbing her book, Lao Chuang, Li Chen casually said, women like clothes and bolts of fabric. Consort Wei smiled. This concubine's possessions can't compare to those of the princess consort. The moment he heard this, Li Chen shook his head. It's about time to make summer clothes. Tell Suji to send over some bright bolts of cloth from the storage. Again, Consort Wei smiled prettily, the expression adorable. Then tomorrow this concubine won't hold back. Li Chen grunted in acknowledgement. Once summer had started, the second young miss of Count Xiang's estate, Qi Dangxia, prepared for her marriage. On the day that the relatives and friends of the family would normally added to the dowry, Qi Nikan did not personally visit her paternal family's home, citing her pregnancy as an excuse. Instead, she sent Nanny Song. Of the two sisters, Qi Nikan was older and had gotten married first. She was also a princess consort. When Qi Nikan had still lived in the count estate, she wasn't very close to this illegitimate sister of hers. However, she still sent a lot of jewelry to add to her sister's dowry. An especially precious gift she had sent was a bolt of red cloth with double-sided embroidery. An imperial offering that was bestowed by the empress to Qi Nikan in the past. Count Xiang doted on concubine Lu, the mother of Qi Dangxia. As such, Qi Dangxia's dowry consisted of 80 chests. Concubine Bai took in the sight with a jealous gaze and Countess Xiang felt unhappy as well. Even so, the latter didn't show it. She considered the best way to act in this situation and ended up adding a lot to Qi Dangxia's dowry. When Count Xiang saw this, he was hit with surprise and gratitude. Just in Qi Nikan's first year of marriage, her actions had implied her mother-in-law's birthday was more important than her own sister's marriage. However, she did not rush Qi Yunruo to finish the copies of Buddhist scriptures meant as a birthday gift. Now that she was heavy with child and responsible for managing the estate, she was too lazy to deal with him. So he found an opportunity to visit Jihuan. As Qi Yunruo arrived at Beautiful Forest, Jihuan had just finished a piece of calligraphy. He casually struck up a conversation. Aren't you going to send your sister a wedding gift? Caught off guard, Qi Yunruo took a moment before replying, which sister? Jihuan felt that something was off. He shook his head. A period of thought later, Qi Yunruo said, oh. I remember now. She's getting married. Chen Lingjun, the eldest son of the Minister of Revenue Cheng Wenjie, is considered a young talent. The maternal grandfather of Qi Dangxia worked in the Ministry of Revenue. Because the emperor appointed Li Chen to supervise the Minister of Revenue, the Ministry of Revenue lay in the palm of this prince's hand. Qi Yunruo did not have a good impression of his second sister. Back at the Count estate, Qi Dangxia and Qi Roshue looked at him with cold eyes, as if he were something foul. The brother and sister pair of Qi Yunchen and Qi Nikan did not treat him much better as well, acting as if he didn't exist in their world. And then there was Qi Yunying, his second elder brother, who was a silent person in general. Qi Yunruo submerged himself in thought. Shortly after, he asked, why do I have to send a gift for her wedding? The innocent question brought a slight smile to Jihuan. It's not always the case that one has to. If you don't feel like sending a gift, then don't. I don't have anything to give. At the sound of those words, Jihuan nudged closer to the young teen, stroking the latter's head. Voice akin to a whisper. If you ever need anything, just tell me. There's really nothing I need. Why don't you have lunch here today? What do you like to eat? Chi Yunruo blinked a few times. I want sweet and sour crunchy radishes. And Ji Huan burst into laughter. Prior to Chi Yunruo's visit, he had already picked several dishes for the noon meal and now added a large plate of radishes to the mix. As talented as the estate's chefs were, naturally the radish strips were, other than sweet and sour, very refreshing with just the right dash of spiciness. One bite later, even Ji Huan found them irresistible. An entire pitcher of osmanthus wine later, Chi Yunruo clung to Ji Huan's torso. Without a word, Ji Huan carried him past the screen divider, laying him on his bed to rest. Chi Yunruo wasn't actually drunk. Rather, he had felt a bit dizzy after all the alcohol and wanted to nap. As he observed the slumbering figure of his companion, Ji Huan recalled the last time Chi Yunruo had gotten drunk. How he had stumbled out of Ji Huan's residence without knowing if he himself could find his way home. Ji Huan made his way around the screen divider, past the round table the servants had cleared of dishes, and only stopped once he was in the area of the large room he had assigned as his study. He sat down at his desk and began to read. Time passed in a blink of an eye without him knowing it. Yet Chi Yunruo was still wrapped in slumber. Then, come dinner time, Li Chen arrived. His appearance jolted Ji Huan from his reverie. He sat there dazed for a second, before glancing at the direction of his bedroom area out of reflex. Li Chen took his seat across from Ji Huan, leaning lazily on the backrest. Because the princess consort had to prepare items to add to her sister's dowry, Li Chen's relationship with the Minister of Revenue was complicated. Much consideration needed to be given when determining the appropriate gifts. These past few days, the Qiang people in the north had been in unrest. Another growing concern was the country of Xinyuan, which had seemed peaceful until now. Li Chen suspected that this was why his imperial father wanted the third prince to enter the Ministry of War. Consort Ji's father started from the bottom as a lowly 8th-rank official to what he was now, a 3rd-rank right assistant of the Minister of War. The Minister of War was loyal to his imperial father. It was for this reason his imperial father had appointed him that position. What a pity that his old injuries made it so that he wouldn't be in this position for long. The next Minister of War would either be Ji Hansong or the left assistant Zhao Weidu. The two candidates had their respective good and bad points. Ji Hansong was a man of the pen and not the sword. Although in the past, there were civil officials that had sat in that seat to balance the excess of power held by the military officials, the current emperor was not a stubborn individual. He liked to use Ji Hansong because he was fair and just. Every year, his evaluation was high. In the past, the emperor had praised him as well. Regarding Zhao Weidu, he was currently a 3rd-rank general Yuè. However, he was quick to anger. In the past, he had fought with others during morning court. After that, out of fear, the imperial censors did not single him out for a couple months. Zhao Weidu never acted close with any of the princes. Therefore, Li Chen wanted Consort Ji's father, Ji Hansong, to become the next Minister of War. However, if Ji Hansong received the position, he would need to elevate Consort Ji's position in his inner court. It took much consideration for Li Chen to place his subordinates in the best positions. An elaborate game of chess. When his imperial father had his eldest son, he was more than 20 years old. Now he was in his 50s. Ji Huan did not disturb Li Chen's thoughts. Their usual meetings occurred in such a manner. If Li Chen found it necessary, Ji Huan would reveal his opinions. Sometimes, Li Chen was closer to him than to his own strategists, sharing information not even his strategists were privy of. Sometimes, Ji Huan just needed to be there as a company and just sit there quietly. Older brother Ji. Chi Yunruo covered his yawn with a hand. Then he walked around the screen divider and into the open. What time is it? Has Li Yisa come to get me? Li Chen suddenly broke from his thoughts by the sound of Qi Yunruo's voice. He turned to his direction. It wasn't long before Qi Yunruo finally realized it wasn't just him and Ji Huan in the room. Ji Huan smiled. Little Qi drank a lot of osmanthus wine again today. He's been resting in my bed until now. Li Chen nodded. Tonight let's have something light. Having little Qi eat dinner with them was what's left unspoken. Little Qi should refrain from drinking tonight. The smile never left Ji Huan's lips. Shortly after, the kitchen sent a bowl of black glutinous rice porridge with a spoonful of sugar. After finishing the bowl, Qi Yunruo felt sated. But Li Chen was of a different opinion. You haven't eaten enough. Ji Huan said. Little Qi had a lot of sweet and sour radish strips during lunch. So you're fond of that dish, Li Chen said, the corners of his lips tilting upward. It's delicious. Ji Huan rolled his eyes. He glanced at Qi Yunruo. This was a person who belonged to the prince by name. At 15, he's neither young nor old. To put into perspective, his younger sister was getting married and his eldest sister was already with child. Li Chen said, have you finished copying your scriptures? Shaking his head, Qi Yunruo said, not yet. I don't feel like doing it and no one's there to push me. I'll finish the copies when I have time in the future. If you don't like doing it, you can stop. Instead of responding to Li Chen, Qi Yunruo continued to stuff radish strips into his mouth. Meanwhile, Ji Huan and Li Chen toasted a cup to each other. The former wore a smile on both his lips and eyes, but his eyes also held unspoken thoughts. With a bitter smile, Li Chen turned to Qi Yunruo. Previously, I mentioned having you move to a new residence. What kind of place do you prefer? After thinking for a short while, Qi Yunruo said, any kind is fine. Li Chen was sure to put this matter into his heart. Indeed, a few days later, Li Chen mentioned this to Qi Nikan. A certain thought jumped into her mind. Then her lips broke into a smile. We don't have to rush this. Once this concubine finds a suitable courtyard, this concubine will inform you on an auspicious day. Then I will trouble the princess consort. That your highness likes third brother is his fortune. Chapter end.